I, 27M, and my husband, 37M, have been married for 3 years, dating for 6. He has an ex-wife, 37F, which he divorced a year before we met. We have a son, 7M, who was adopted after we got married and who I love as my own child because he is. I know my husband, Peter, fake name, is bisexual. I have no problem with it, and I had no problem with his ex-wife, Allison, also fake name. I did have a problem with his family as they're a bit homophobic and are always telling Peter he should get back together with Allison. Well, 2 weeks ago we were at his family's town because it was my son Jack's fake name birthday and we wanted to spend it as family. My mother-in-law decided it would be a good idea to invite Allison, so she arrived in the middle of the party. I didn't want to ruin Jack's birthday, so I stayed quiet. I spent all my time with Jack, playing with him and his cousins at his request. When it was time to cut the cake, I noticed Allison and Peter weren't there, so I went inside and looked for them around the house. I found them in Peter's old bedroom taking their clothes off. I stood there in shock for a moment, but then I left and went back to celebrating Jack's birthday. Part of me wanted to scream and cry, but I also was in shock and I refused to make Jack's birthday about me. We cut the cake and opened the presents. People were already leaving when Allison and Peter came back. Peter took me aside and started saying that I shouldn't have cut the cake without him present, and it was disrespectful. I stared at him and just said, "I'm sorry, I just thought you'd be too busy getting into your ex-wife's pants." He got quiet, so I took Jack and left the house to go back to the hotel. Once I put Jack in bed and made sure he was asleep, I locked myself in the bathroom and broke down. I called a friend, and he tried his best to console me. I only calmed down in the morning when I took Jack for breakfast because I didn't want him to see me like that. I'm now watching him play in the park, and I don't want him to suffer. I don't want him to have a broken family. I don't want him to know that relationships aren't a happy ever after. Peter has been calling and texting, apologizing for everything, and I'm tempted to forgive him. I'm tempted to just have my family back. And all my friends are saying that it was just a mistake, that he was vulnerable, and Allison is his ex-wife. So what am I supposed to do now? I need the advice from people who don't know my husband or me personally. Please, any advice is helpful. Title no more, do when one. Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for your advice, and I want to explain some things before the actual update, but thank you for opening my eyes about my situation. Peter and Allison didn't notice me when I saw them. There was music very loud downstairs, and they weren't facing the door. I didn't stop them because I was in shock. I just stood there for a moment, and I heard my son, so I unconsciously focused on him. I was pretty much in autopilot. Peter didn't come to the hotel with me because I changed to a different one. He did try to follow me, but I took a taxi and left. As far as I know, he's staying with his parents, and Allison left. We met when I was 20 and he was 30. We started as friends and we ended up dating. Yes, we're both men, and no, I didn't feel manipulated or groomed by him. Those were the most asked things, and I did answer some comments, not all. Now, on to the update. I did as some of you said and took some tests to discard any STIs or STDs. The results are coming back in a few days, and I will take another one in 3 weeks to be sure. My son is having a sleepover with a friend, and I decided to speak with my husband. He came by our house after a few minutes. I texted him. He asked about Jack, and I told him where he was. Then we sat on the couch and started talking. I started crying after a few minutes, and he followed after. I asked some simple questions. When? Why? How many times? Among others, and this is what I could figure out by all the things he said. It happened for the first time when he visited his parents alone 2 years ago. They invited her. They both got drunk. He was feeling lonely, as I had been more attention to Jack since we adopted him, and they slept together. Nothing happened again until our son's birthday party. He said his mother pressured him a bit and he caved in. I don't believe he did it for that reason, but I don't know. He said he doesn't love her, and I believe him, but it doesn't negate the fact of what he did. After talking for a while, I told him that I wanted a divorce. He started sobbing and begging for another chance, but I told him that I can't give him another chance because I wouldn't be able to trust him again, and I don't want that in a relationship. He kept crying and begging for another 30 minutes until I told him that we have to think about Jack and his well-being, that we could stay friends, DS, and cope. He got mad, really mad. He started yelling that it was all Jack's fault, that we shouldn't have adopted him, that he's the one who's getting between us. I was crying and really scared. I had never seen him this angry. He hit the table and stormed out of the house. I called the house where Jack is staying at and told them if Peter shows up there, they can't open the door. After the little episode, I was scared that Peter would try to hurt Jack. I called my friend again, Thomas, and told him everything that happened. He came by and is staying with me until I'm better. Right now, I'm trying to figure out what to do and how to go on with the divorce. Additional comments? Commenter 1, you are absolutely not wrong for not forgiving your husband. His reaction to the news of divorce, blaming your adopted son, is alarming and shows his true colors. Stay strong and prioritize your and Jack's safety. Commenter 2, sorry you are going through this. On the bright side, it seems that you will have no problem getting a full custody. It is better to have one loving parent than two co-parents where one is resenting you for mere existence. Commenter 3, I can't believe that he is taking no accountability for his actions and blaming your completely innocent son. Every time you start missing your soon-to-be ex, I want you to please remember what he said about your son. It will be painful, but it will strengthen your heart and mind to move on from that toxic man. You are definitely not the keep striving for a healthy, happy new relationship for you and your son. Update 2. Hi again. Sorry for taking so long to update, but it's been a chaotic week, and I'm pretty shaken up, but I'll try to summarize it. My husband has been showing up at my work, following me, and calling me from burner phones. I was afraid he'd go after Jack like many of you said he would, but he didn't. He said a lot of stuff, but I'll try to write the important things. He said that he missed when we were just us, that I stopped paying attention to him when we adopted that Jack, that I wasn't his anymore. He said that he missed how dependent I was on him. I was very insecure when we met, but I started working on my issues when we adopted Jack because I didn't want to be a bad example for him. When we got married, I used to get sick all the time. I was weak and tired, so he would take care of me 24/7. The doctors couldn't tell what was wrong with me, and I didn't get better until a bit after we adopted Jack. I guess that dependence, it's what he missed. Yesterday, he followed me to work and started screaming that I was his and that we made vows to stay together. We had to call security, and he waited for me next to my car. I panicked and took a taxi home. He keeps messaging me and showing up to our house. I took a few weeks off work to be with Jack, although he's taking this better than me. I made an appointment with a therapist for him, and when the divorce is finalized, I'll go to one myself. I've been debating what to do, so I'll update when something happens. Update 3. Hi guys, this is the final update for anyone who is interested. I'm only doing this update to give it some closure and because some people messaged me to ask for it. So here it is. This has been a really difficult time, but I'm almost divorced. I have primary custody of Jack, and I've got a restriction order against Peter and Allison. I'll try to be quick, but a lot happened. So after I made the post, Peter kept calling and stalking me. I didn't know what to do until I started packing Peter's stuff, and I found a box of pictures of me before we met, like 3 or 4 years before we met, while he was still married to Allison. I never knew why they got divorced. He just said it was too painful to talk about, so I never asked, but I swallowed my anger and sent Allison a message to ask her about the pictures, and she told me that they got divorced because she saw him stalking my Facebook several times and found the same box I did. He called it an innocent crush and curiosity, but she thought he was cheating on her, and they got divorced. A year later, he met me, but Allison always thought that I was the side piece. I read a few comments saying that I maybe was sick because he was making me sick. I don't know if that's possible. I don't really know. I mean, the illness were bad enough to make me stay in bed, like having a bad cold, but I don't know, I stopped digging. After I found the pictures, I confronted Peter without Jack in the house, and he seemed, I don't know, proud. He kept smiling and saying that all he did was for us, that it was love at first sight, and we were destined. He was just making sure it happened. Apparently, we had met before we became friends. I remember meeting him at a party through some friends, but we met before as teenagers. He and I lived in close-by towns, and my school made some trips to the towns nearby, and we met on one of those trips. We were something like friends, but only for a summer because he went to college, and I soon forgot about him. But he found my Facebook, and the story continued. I was horrified, to say the least. He tried to console me and tell me that it was fine, that he did it out of love, and that if only we hadn't adopted Jack, everything would be fine. I was bawling my eyes out. My entire marriage was a lie. He said that he only slept with Allison because he knew that it would get my attention and that we didn't have go through with the divorce. That I know he loves me, and that's it. He promised to be a better dad for Jack if I made more time for him. He told me to quit my job because he earned enough to take care of all of us, and that would give me more time with him. I was in shock, and then he hugged, calming me down. I admit that for a moment I allowed him to hold me. I allowed myself to consider his proposal, but I kept thinking about his lies. It wasn't about the cheating, it was the stalking, the lies, the obsession. It creeped me out, so I tried to pull away and tell him I'd go through with the divorce. He refused. He hugged me tighter and screamed that I needed him, that he could protect me, he could take care of me, he could save me, that I was his husband and only his. I was terrified. I slapped him and pulled away, yelling at him to get out of my house. He didn't. He just kept screaming and holding on to me until a neighbor heard the commotion and called the police. I filed a restriction order and been taking care of Jack since. During the divorce proceedings, Peter asked for 50-50 custody, which surprised me because in all this time, he hasn't cared about seeing Jack, but I later found out that it was only because he would get to see me and talk to me regularly. He's been contesting every single thing about the divorce, trying to make it last longer than it has, and it's been working. He offered to give me child support. Even though we have 50-50 custody, he allowed me to keep the house and other stuff. So that's what's been going on in my life. The only happy thing that happened was Halloween. Jack insisted on dressing up as Spider-Man and me dressing up as Tony Stark. So we did, and I took him trick-or-treating. It was the most adorable sight ever, and I knew I made the right choice with him and Peter. I'm sorry for such a long post, but this will probably be the last update. Thank you so much for the advice and for hearing me rant. Update 4. I know I said that my last update would be the final, but I'm so very confused right now. So we're finishing with the divorce proceedings, but Peter's attitude is given a 180D, and I don't know if I'm crazy or what. The last time I posted here, Peter was basically saying that our son was the reason for our divorce and only wanted custody of him to see me. Well, now he's being Father of the Year. A friend of mine, Dean, fake name, is handling the drops and pickups of Jack so that I don't see Peter. At first he was mad and called me because he thought he and I were dating. Then he didn't care. Now I thought that he would treat Jack badly, and I kept very close on him, asked him questions about his father, how everything was going, etc. Jack told me that he's been acting like the perfect dad. He's nice, he plays with him, helps him, and is completely different from before. I have talked to Peter, and he told me he was going to therapy, which I'm happy for, and he has messaged me, apologized, and told me that we should try couples therapy. I declined, and he hasn't asked again, but he wants us to meet up at his house tomorrow to discuss everything that happened. He said it was part of his therapy. I haven't gone to therapy. I can't afford it right now, but Jack is. I can't say I don't miss Peter because he was a great partner and husband before everything went down. But I don't trust him after all that happened. So I don't know what to say to him tomorrow or how to express how I feel about it. Is it wrong to miss him? I mean, this whole thing happened because he slept with someone else, and I know that he hasn't seen Allison and won't be seeing her again because she's also done. Should I just move past it? Jack is also saying that he misses the three of us together. He's cried to me about it more times than I can count, and asks why I can't forgive his dad. What the hell am I supposed to do? To feel? What's a short update? I guess that I'm just trying to vent without judgment from the people I know and give an update to those who asked it. Thanks again for all the support I received in my other posts. Update 5. Okay, I'm going to clear up a few things before I give you the actual update. I don't answer comments. I prefer to answer every question here instead of answering the same questions separately. 1. I should have explained ER better, but my restriction order was a temporal one, only for 30 days. 2. Peter was a very good husband. I read that he was abusive all throughout our relationship. He wasn't. And he was a good dad to Jack. Everything went to hell when I caught him cheating. 3, what Jack was saying wasn't told by Peter. I talked to him and I made sure he just has been missing our life before. 4, Peter would never touch Jack like some of you suggested. My case may make it seem like he could, but he never even touched me or groomed me. I did talk to Jack just to make sure, and he reassured me nothing happened. Now, on to the update. I did meet with Peter. Most of you told me not to go to his apartment, so I told him to meet at a park, take a walk or something. When I saw him, he was different. He looked very depressed, and he hugged me when he saw me. He wouldn't stop apologizing for what happened. We started talking and walking. He didn't justify what he said or did, but he did say he regrets it. He said that he misses me and misses being together. I asked about Allison, and he told me that he cut her and his parents out, which I believe he did. And then I asked about what he said about Jack. He basically said that he resented Jack for a long time because my attention wasn't on him anymore, and it was selfish. But he was too used to be the center of my world, so when it suddenly changed, he couldn't take it. He told me he loves Jack, but that he sustains that if giving him up meant to have me back, he would do it in a heartbeat. We talked for hours while Jack was with my friend. I cried a lot. There were things I decided not to ask, like if he was drugging me, like some of you said, because I honestly don't want to know. We have been texting these past days, mostly about Jack. But I'm considering family therapy, mostly to help Jack cope with everything. The divorce is still happening, which Peter wasn't too happy about, but he wasn't angry anymore, just sad. I also recently met a guy in a coffee shop, and we have been texting a lot, so I'll see how that turns out. And that's it for the moment. I'll update you guys if you have many questions or if something else happens. Story 2. I'm starting from the beginning so you can get the whole picture. I, 24 and a half, have been with my girlfriend, 22F, for a year and 2 months. When we first met, we clicked instantly. I think we stayed together for the first 10 days nonstop, and I felt like time stood still. For the first 6 months of us being together were absolutely amazing. Every day I wanted nothing but to come home and spend time together. We spoke on wedding venues, and after her graduation on getting a farm. Kids' names, dogs' names, vacations. We spoke about what it meant to live, and we agreed, and it was the best thing I have ever felt. And then, slowly, piece by piece, everything that was absolutely amazing and wonderful about this relationship has changed. We moved in together about 8 months ago, and it's been extremely difficult for me because I feel like everything that made me who I was before has been stripped away to conform into who she needs me to be. I used to shoot billiards 2 nights a week on a league, and I stopped doing that because she upset that it took so much of my time, and she didn't like the people that went to that bar. I haven't been to my parents' house but maybe 4 times in the last 8 months because she doesn't like the way they make me want to stand up for myself. I stopped running a company founded 6 years ago because she wanted me to get a real job. I used to work out every day, sometimes twice a day, and she doesn't like when I go because she feels like I'm doing it to look good for other women. She is in school full-time on top of school. She is working 2 jobs, so I know how stressed she is. I have let a lot of things slide because I know when you're stressed and have nothing you can do to fix it. It comes out as anger towards me. Like she's taking her stress out on me. I would be able to survive the occasional outburst, but it's turned into something different. If I breathe, I'm breathing too loud. If I chew my food, it's the grossest thing she's ever seen. If I try and initiate, I am a misogynist who only wants her for her body. If I don't want to, when she does, I'm ruining her mental health by making her feel ugly. If I do the dishes, I'm doing it to make her feel bad. If I clean, it was just to make her feel bad or get something out of it. If help out with her bills, I'm doing it for the wrong reasons. If I don't, then I'm selfish. Example 1. Everything that goes wrong is my fault. The TV remote died, and if I wasn't such a cheap ass and got the good batteries, like she said, we wouldn't need to use our phones for the Roku. Example 2. She couldn't get the toenail polish off of her toes before photos, and I had to run to the store to get removed. She said to go to Walgreens was like 10 times closer. So I got acetone cotton wipes, and I got her a nail polish color that I thought would match her cords. And Stole. When I got back, she asked what took me so long and where the stuff was. When the polish wouldn't come off, she said, "This is why I fucking hate men, and I fucking can't stand you. You can't do a simple fucking task right. I asked you for acetone from Walmart. You got me the shitty fucking garbage from Walgreens. This is the dumbest fucking color. Why the fuck would I use this color? Do you even fucking know me? Why the fuck would I use this color? Answer me." Example 3. This was a couple months back, and things were looking up, and I had to run by the mall for some work clothes. In the mall, I went into a jewelry store, and they had the exact ring she wants, like absolutely perfect. The perfect cut, the perfect band, the perfect size, and it was a big old rock. The ring was custom for someone else who went with something different, so it was discounted. Heavenly, so I can completely understand her not wanting to have a discount ring, but it was still pushing the limits of what I could afford. And so I asked her, and she said, "If you propose to me, I don't care who it is in front of, who it is around, where we are at. I will say no, you. I don't want to be tied to anyone while I'm still in college. And I don't want to be tied to you during my internship, leaving for 3 months this summer. And I don't want a discount ring because you can't afford a decent ring." This absolutely fucking crushed me. It made me completely rethink the relationship and take a step back. In combination with the past few months and how she's been treating me and speaking to me and acting around me. So last night when asked, was it 4 or 6 carat?